So for those of you who've never, ever, ever watched June on stage acting, forget singing, acting, you are missing out, but we'll find out when the next one is on. In the meantime, I want to know, how was this Shirley Valentine played out? There was a show that was on, I mean, I've watched June since we're in high school, and she's a brilliant actress. But there's this one show, those of you who watched it, would just put it on the comment section. What was your experience of Shirley Valentine? One-man show that June pulled out so well. How did you get into character and just switch within milliseconds from one person to the other? One
person to the other, yeah. Well, so that was my second one
oh, was it?
Person show, one-woman show. The first one was My Brilliant Divorce. I did that one, and that was the first time I remember getting the script from Ian Bogwa, and I was taking a trip, so I read it, then I called him. I said, "Where are the other characters? Who else is in this play? This thing is very confusing." He said, "No, there's no other person." I said, "Yeah, but I can see male voice, meaning. So where are they?" He said, "No, it's you." I was like, "What?" So it took me like a whole month to even call him back and say, "I've read it," or I was so shocked. Like, I'm like, "What are you trying to say? Am I crazy?" Or so I took it like very personally. Like, you must think I'm so ridiculously insane that I'm the only person who can do, like, nobody else can be on stage with me. What are you saying? Yeah. Do I smell? Like, I was so like affected. Yeah. And then he said, "No, you read it, take your time, put it aside, then read it again." Okay. And so that one was, I think, even more involving physically than Shirley Valentine was. Shirley Valentine was an emotional, it was, oh my gosh, you had to go in, Kabsa. My Brilliant Divorce was a true story by Geraldine Aaron, who had gone through a divorce.
I remember watching it, yeah.
And so, in that one, unlike Shirley Valentine, there was no interval. It was also an hour and a half. So all my wardrobe changes happened on stage with the audience watching as a segue to the next scene.
Oh my gosh.
And, so it was all the things her husband went through, all the people he dated, all the people she was trying to date as she was recovering. And her story was, she wrote My Brilliant Divorce as a cathartic way of dealing with the process. But so there's a lot of humor, even though it was such a sad, heavy subject to sort of portray. But she says in her notes that I want this to be a light portrayal because I'm fine now. And for me, the content was so interesting because I'm not married, I haven't been divorced, or I was like, what is this craziness? But I think when people write well, you owe them an awesome performance, because they've taken the time to put words together that actually make the story flow. And even though you've not had that experience, you're like, I can imagine feeling like that, or I can imagine feeling like I've been down in the dumps for so long, and so the one thing that could possibly make me happy, I would want to try and go and do it, as crazy as it sounds or as crazy as it seems. So that was my first experience with a one-woman show.
Why did you say yes to Ian?
Because he's very persistent, number one. And I trust him. I trust him as a director. I trust him as an older friend, brother. He's got a very truthful eye, I would say. And I've not been wrong to date. Every time he's directed me, it's come out brilliantly. And the fact that he must have seen something, I don't always have to be the one who sees the thing in me, and I'm recognizing that, even as I continue to grow older, that people see things in you, and your job at that point is to say yes, take the chance. I mean, if it didn't work out, it didn't work out. It wouldn't have been the end of my career. Yeah, true. So that was the reason I think I said yes, and I was just like, I've never done it before. I'd done farces, comedies, I'd done straight plays where you just have like a drama from beginning to end.
Musicals.
I'd done a musical. So this was the one thing I hadn't ticked off. That I was like, okay, let's do it. And it took a while, but once we got it, it was awesome. It was awesome.
Like, how tired were you? How many shows did you have?
So
over
Phoenix,
2 weeks? Or?
Yeah. Phoenix usually do 4. It's about 2 weeks of shows. So I want to say maybe 12 or 14. because Saturdays we would do 2 shows. Saturdays were always two shows. So in a week, and we wouldn't do shows on Monday or Tuesday. So we'd start Wednesday
and you're going
to
to
Saturday.
Work. You're working at the time.
Yeah. Go to work, walk from the office, go for rehearsal, walk back. Yeah, I was on Koinange Street and Phoenix was just up the road. So it was a nice, I'd use the walk to sort of clear my head, get into character, run through my lines. And, you know, Phoenix then was a place to reckon with, you know what I mean? Even the stage managers, everybody was so on point. So they just made the experience enjoyable. There wasn't a lot of money, but the experience was great. Yeah, so by the time I was doing Shirley Valentine, I think one other person, Jennifer somebody, I forget her name, had done it in Kenya. And nobody else had dared, I think, after that. So then it got sent my way, and I was like, what is this thing? I flipped, I'm like, I recognize when there's just one character. And I read the story, and my goodness, like that one hit me even more than My Brilliant Divorce, because A, it was written by a guy. B, the guy had 6 sisters or something like that. But every single line, I was like, I would say that. And I think most people would think it. The difference with me is that I would actually say that the one. I would say the phrase, I would say what I'm thinking. And that's what got me. The script was absolutely beautiful. Also, a difficult story of a marital relationship going through, you know, a stale moment where the kids have grown up, they've left the nest, and then there's just no fire. There's expectation of where's my dinner, blah, blah, blah. And the chick is like, I'm sorry, excuse you? What? And she's like, no, I'm going to look for the thing that I've got to remember who I am. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. Yes. And just the way that she would say the most ridiculous things. She would talk to the wall, like the wall was her pal. I was like, yeah, I think I've done that. I think I've actually spoken to an inanimate object because I don't need it to respond. And I ask it rhetorical questions because I need to hear how the question sounds before I actually bounce this off somebody like who can respond to me. And so there were little quirky things that Shirley's character did that I was like, yeah, I get it. I absolutely get it. So that was a lot more emotional, but still with quite a bit of humor. And my biggest challenge, to be honest, in that one was the accent, because she's from Liverpool, so up north in the UK. So she had a Liverpudlian accent, which that was the thing I struggled with, just trying to get that accent and then find everybody else's voice. Because in one woman shows,
guy, wasn't there?
He was Greek. He was Greek. Okay. Yeah, he was a Greek lover. So Costas.
I remember. Oh my gosh.
I think I could do that play again. Like I could do it's here. Okay. You know, and then now just internalizing the lines and the story. Because then, you know how I said for Brilliant Divorce I had to like change on stage and do all of these things. I had to cook a meal. And have an imaginary meal with my husband who was not there physically because I was by myself. But even getting comfortable enough to then be able to cook and be able to then do all these other things was what the challenge was. And then once that settled, once the story settled, I then would throw in my own little things in terms of how I perceived her character and what kind of little quirky things she would do. And good directors will tell you that. They'll say, you know, this is the core, and then after that make her your own, basically, or make the story your own, so that it's believable. Also, when you sit there, you want to, some people still call me Shirley till today. There are people who be like, Shirley. I'm like, no, June. But
that is so funny.
Yeah.
Wow. So what's the plan where theatre is concerned? Or how is what do you want to do with that? I
still want to act. Like I think my last straight play I did was in 2016, and I won Best Actress for that year with Sana Theatre Awards, which are like our Tonys here. And it was directed by Millicent Ogutu, and it was done at the Kenya National Theatre, which was newly refurbished. So it was amazing, and I missed.
Remind me the name?
It was called The Threefold Chord.
Okay.
Yeah, Threefold Chord. So very different directing sort of approach where it's 3 different women who all have a relationship with the same guy.
Yeah, I remember it.
But we're talking to the audience only. We never talk to each other.
Yeah.
We all just talk to the audience and tell our version of the story. So it was almost like 3 monologues in one. Yeah. So very interesting, and we were all such different characters. I believe there was Nice Gidinji as well, and Wamboi Collymore at the So it was. I miss that. I actually miss it, and of course, it's getting harder to remember all the lines. The way in my 20s, it was like boom, boom, boom. I'd read the script. 2 weeks, I'd have my lines.
Wow.
Now I'm like, when is it? In 6 months? Okay, bring the script and start trying. So ginseng and omega-3, I have to do better, But I would love to do more plays. We were actually talking about it with Millicent and saying we should at least aim for one, because we're also busy with different things now. That creating that space to learn the material, and also you don't want to do a bad job at it, so I can't afford to. Even I'm my own worst critic. It's not even about anybody else, it's about me. That I used to do maybe 4 plays a year. If I can do one excellent one a year, or 2 maybe if I'm stretching it, then I would happily do that.
What advice would you have for somebody who's out there who's a thespian? Yeah. Maybe a playwright or an actor. Somebody who's so passionate about it, probably doesn't even do anything else, and it doesn't really pay that much. Yeah. Well, I would say do the work. I have to be honest, like the one thing I realize with a lot of people is that they're not working. They're not working? No. What do you mean? No. They're not doing the groundwork. It's one thing to be passionate about it. Like when you identify that you enjoy something, that's all it is. You enjoy it. If you want to make this career path, or you want to actually, let me speak plainly, you want people to pay to watch you doing this thing and not ask for their money back, then you need to put in the work. And that might mean interning, it might mean apprenticeship, it might mean studying, it might mean, asking for help to go and get a course in, even if it's 2-3 courses, go to a cyber and do a course online. Put the 10,000 hours in, because a lot of us in the creative industry, that's our problem, in my opinion. We just expect that, I'm an artist. No, you are somebody who enjoys music, or you're somebody who enjoys theater. There's a very big difference between, because you're asking people to pay you. You're asking people to pay. I've been to plays where people have walked out. And the only reason I don't walk out, I want to, but the only reason I don't is like if I was the one on stage, I would feel so much pain. So I sit there and I'm dying inside because the performance is horrendous. They didn't prepare, they don't know their lines. Why would you subject people to that? Like, do that in your house and just your family will love you anyway. But don't make us pay our hard-earned money, and it's disrespectful. Do you find that that's a Kenyan problem? Well, no, I don't think it's a Kenyan problem. I think we have that problem in Kenya, but I don't think it's a Kenyan problem. I think, look, we've all watched American Idol, and people go and audition, and then they're like, my mom says I'm great. No, you're not. Your mom loves you, and she has to tell you you're great. So the problem is not just here. It's global. But what I think is the thing we need to do differently, and it's not rocket science. You can tell who's working. You can see it in every industry who is doing the work, and who then, by the time they get the status or the acclaim or the money that they're getting, you can't complain. No. One of my favorite stories is somebody like June Gachui. Guys were like, hey, when he came out with his first hit single, it was like his 15th or 16th song. And guys are like, this new kid, he's like, new kid from where? Do you know how much work I've been doing? But it made the difference. And he knew it wasn't the first one. He could have stopped and said, I'm a struggling artist. Now you just add struggling, but you're still just the artist. No. He continued. And the 15th or 16th song is the one guys were like, hey, what is this hit? And then after that, because now we like him, every song is a hit, and he has understood the formula. So you have to do the work. So whether you're a thespian or an aspiring thespian, do the work. And there's a difference between
what we learn in our academic institutions, and I think that's part of the problem, in my opinion.
Okay.
When we used to teach theater and we used to teach music, we would teach it from a very academic point of view.
Okay.
Even in our colleges now, those that offer theater arts or music programs are churning out lecturers and teachers who then go and teach at schools or at the conservatoire or at a music school. They are not teaching performing arts the way the regular audience who doesn't care if it's a G minor or a whatever, F sharp, and the ones who don't care whether it's a farce or a dramatic, they just want to go watch a play.
And be entertained.
That's the bridging, that's the difference, the missing link, in my opinion, between what's being taught and then practically what can you put on stage that people will come for. So you will see that a lot of the actors who have done well in the past did the work not because they went to school or anything like that, but they would study. We had books at Phoenix. We had books that taught us blocking. I'm like, what is blocking? I blocked Rina. No. You figure out where to place yourself on a stage and how you move with your body. If I turn this way and I talk to you, it's like I've closed the conversation. So if I'm going to talk to Rina, but I want the people on that side of the stage to see, I can't face you like this because my back. Little things like that you take for granted, that it doesn't come naturally. Somebody has to guide you through the process.
Yeah, there's technical aspects that you have to understand so that you deliver perfectly. Yeah, okay. So I guess if there's somebody out there, you're 20-something and you want to make it out there, it's not that so this also is very frustrating when people say, in Kenya you can't succeed as a. No. You have to be in this industry but the problem, what I hear you saying, is that the problem is that people are not doing the work. You're not perfecting your craft, and you're still expecting people to pay you.
It's no different
for mediocrity.
Yeah, and you want society to now recognize this as one of the industries, not just a thing that people do when they flunked out of school.
Right. Oh my God.
So we have a responsibility, if we're going to enter this space, to actually do the work. And the second thing is, you don't limit your opportunities. So right now, most of the actors are doing more than one thing. So they're acting on screen, they're in a TV series or sitcom, they're in a TV commercial, they're on a billboard, they're on stage somewhere doing a play, all at the same time. So they're exercising their craft to earn revenue from more than one thing, because you have time. You're not on set for 24 hours a day. So do whatever shoot you're doing for 2-3 hours, go home, read your script, go for rehearsal in the evening. If this is your work, do it. Just do the work. And when you don't know, ask. I think that's the other thing. And stop asking for people to mentor you. That's the wrong thing, man.
Tell me about that, you.
Oh, God. You can be mentored badly. People can mentor you badly.
So what should they be asking?
So stop asking for a mentor. Say, what can I, ask the question, what can I do to improve? What book can I read? Ask practical questions. Because what mentors do, they take you for coffee. They'll say, what do you want to achieve? Then you sit there, I have to pay for the coffee. And then 2 days later, I must send you a text saying, how are you doing? Are you okay?
You know what I think they should ask is to shadow somebody.
Yeah.
Right? Can I work for you for free?
Yes.
So that then they can actually see how this works practically.
So the internships or the apprenticeships, that thing is, we have to drop labels or titles of things. Just say what you want. If I have a coffee with you and I have many people that I mentor them, or I have conversations with them about what it is their journey is, and I tell them the exact same thing. And the ones who have listened, honestly, they have created their own path and they're doing excellently, right? But and not because of anything I've done, it's they have to do the work. It's not me. I just tell them, I think you're cheating me, you're wasting my time, and you're wasting your time.
You actually say that?
Yes. Because you tell me I want to be the best in it. Oh, you do. Okay, so how many hours of rehearsal have you done this week? How many? That's the only thing I can ask you. Because I didn't say how many hours have you spent with me. You are the one who said you wanted to be. And I can't play your instrument. The instrument you're playing me, I can't play it. So that's not what I'm going to do for you. But there's no secret. And if these guys don't want to work, it's okay. Also, just be proud and don't work. But don't confuse it for, oh, it's the industry's fault, or so and so refused to mentor me, or whatever it is. I think we've played it too nice, I think, and I think the responsibility we have for those who've been in it for a couple of decades is just to be honest about this thing. It's not easy. No. It's not easy. You give up sleep, you give up money, you give up, but if that's the thing you've decided to do, then you do it. And you put the time in, and you put the effort, and you learn, and you improve, and you, like now, us kids didn't have internet. It was for dial-up. Now you can watch things on the internet to teach you how to do things. Right. We had to look for money, wait for money to come, go and buy a book, then sit and read the book. And now you can download, right, and stream things in seconds. Right. You have no excuse.
Well put. This is Rina Hicks. I have nothing else to add to that wisdom. And you are watching MoneyWise, all access into June Gachui's world. Take care and subscribe if you haven't. God bless you. Bye.